And I think that's something that you have to learn as a large animal vet, kind of triage yourself into your schedule of your day, because if you don't do that and you put every cow ahead of yourself, then you're going to be no good to anyone.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Gerardo Poli.
And this, sorry. Okay.
I'm Gerardo Poli.
I'm Hubert Hemstra, and this is the Vet Vault.
Before we kick off this episode, we want to remind you about our soon-to-be-launched clinical podcast. We've been beavering away with a team of specialists to create a brand new series of clinical podcasts just for you. Now, we all know how important it is to keep up to date with our continued education, and we all want to do it. But let's be honest, who feels like sitting down with an article or a textbook and just stare at another screen and to do that online course that you've subscribed to but never actually to get around time to doing it?
Which is why we're making high-value, highly practical clinical updates that you can plug in and listen to while you drive to work or do the ironing or you're exercising or whatever it is that you'd rather be doing than studying. The episodes are filled with everything that's important and new, all the pitfalls, the pro tips, and all those other beautiful nuggets of wisdom that our superstar specialists have acquired over their years of experience. It's everything that you really need to know to be the kick-ass clinician that you've always wanted to be, and it's all presented in the easy-to-listen-to conversational way that you've come to know and hopefully love on the Vet Vault. Because who wants to listen to someone just reading out the newest article on some disease process?
We'll be launching these before the end of the month. So go to our website at thevetvault.com and subscribe to our mailing list. And we'll let you know as soon as we launch. If you click on the link in the episode description, wherever you're listening to, it will take you straight there. Now, back to our guest for the episode.
When we recently asked Dr. Louisa Graham who she would recommend as a guest for the show, she told us that we should definitely speak to Dr. Hazell Mullins, who is the Vet on the Move on Instagram. And yet again, Louisa was right. Hazell is young and energetic and a bit glamorous, but she's also a very hardworking, hardcore cow vet in Ireland. She shatters the stereotype of the tweed hat-wearing, mustached male largest vet and is one of the forerunners of what seems to be the next generation of leaders in the large animal veterinary field. We chat to her about how the female farm vets are rocking it and about how things have changed in that regard over the last few years. Hazell tells us what the day-to-day work of a UK farm vet looks like, why spring is scary if you're a cow vet, and she gives us her tip for preparing for periods of high stress. We discuss surviving on call, the merits of post-grad studying, social media as a tool. We talk about Hazell's own podcast called Vet Space Ireland and much, much more. Please enjoy Hazell Mullins.
Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll chat away.
Hello, Hazell, and welcome to the Vet Vault.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We are cold and you are warm, and you're in Ireland and we're in Australia. That's not right.
I know. It's like the one time it's hot in Ireland and I'm on a podcast with Australians and I'm like, oh. And it's 24 degrees. So we are baking because we're not used to it.
I was about to ask what temperature it is there. And
yeah,
when I was thinking like hot is like 37 degrees, close to 40.
Yeah,
and
no, I think
40 degrees and you're baking.
Yeah, no, we would disintegrate if it was 30 degrees.
Don't mock that, Gerardo. When I lived there, I was saying to Hazell before we started chatting, I was at the same like, you guys don't know what hot is. And the first day it was even near 25. I nearly died. It's a hot, muggy, I don't know what it is. And it's like the country's not set up for it. I remember sweating through days consulting. Because I remember, to my ultimate shame, my first sunburn in the UK. I thought I was immune to the British sun.
Yeah.
We sat outside of a pub and I got so burned. It was horrendous.
Yeah, it's something about the sun. Yeah. It really burns you.
It does too.
As you were saying before, like you're not set up for it. Like there's air cons and things like that. And just in Queensland, you go from aircon to aircon to aircon.
No. Shops do, I suppose, have aircon, but I'd say very few vet practices have aircon. And our practice would be quite modern, and we don't have aircon. So we have this emergency fan that we bring in when it goes above 20 degrees, and everyone is just melting. But you see, we love the sun. We're all like, oh my God, it's sunny. And then we complain all the way through it about how hot we are.
And dozens of people drown. Every time the sun's out of the UK, you hear on the radio, you go, 3 people drowned today. You
can't just go for a swim because it can't.
Hope not. Yeah. Well, we all just flock to the beaches, and we're all we just go sea swimming. This is the new thing now. We all jump into the freezing water. But I think the water is about 17 degrees at the moment, so we're all like, oh my God, it's so hot.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great, but it's I just got a new van for work, and it has air conditioning, and I honestly don't know how I survived without it. Yesterday I had it on full belt, and like for the last 3 years I've died going from call to call with no aircon, and it's really nice. Yeah, it's the joys of it.
So you drive around, you're doing largies, is that right? Or
yeah, so I'm a large animal vet, so I do all my calls are cows, and I do the odd horse call, maybe the odd sheep call, and then you've got the very, very odd kind of goat or pig or something that shows up. But yeah, it's all on the road in my van. Me and the podcasts or radio, and just it's good. It's nice to have that little bit of time to yourself and going from place to place, but it's every day is very, you never know where you're going to be really unless you have like appointments, so it can be kind of very varied. It's good.
Yeah. Is a part of a bigger practice? Like, do you have a central practice and then you're on the road, or? Yeah.
So I work for Abbeyville, which is a 9 vet practice in Cork, in the southern part of Ireland. And so there's 5 full-time small animal vets, and then 4 kind of large animal, but they do a little bit of small as well, so mixed vets. I do maybe 1 clinic a week of small animals, but generally I would be classed as a large animal vet. And then we've got 2 branches, so in the suburbs of Cork. So it's it's good to have a good team and a good rota, which is nice.
So it's so nice to have a largies vet on. I must admit, I have to apologize to all the largies listeners, because we tend to not favor, it's just all the people we know are smallies vets. So it's great to dig into the life of a largies vet a little bit. The first thing I want to ask about is sort of the obvious thing to me is, and it's actually when I was researching you the other day and checking out your socials and that, it was quite apparent. There was a photo of you at some largies vet conference, and it was very easy to find you because you were the only female in the picture. It's like, Hazell, that's her. I reckon that's her.
There I am.
Is it still very much a male-dominated part of the profession, or are you getting more and more females in the largest vet profession? I
definitely think we are. I definitely noticed that when I used to go to talks, like I'm qualified 7 years. When I used to go to talks in my first job, there might be 1 or 2 out of 20 vets at a talk, like an evening talk. But now I definitely feel like it's, there's probably 50-50, I would say. A lot more of my friends are working in large animal. I went to Nottingham University in the UK, and girls to boys was 80-20. So the boys had their pick. And a lot of the girls actually went into large, and a lot of the boys that started off interested in large animal, they're actually in small animals. So it was interesting that happened, and they came from farms and things like that. But I think sometimes it's just the work-life balance that maybe puts people more towards small. But no, I definitely think that us ladies are on the up in the large animal front, definitely.
So when we lived in the UK many moons ago, and Gerard always likes to make jokes about my age, but probably that puts us about 15 years ago. My wife's a vet as well, and we worked in a mixed practice, but I did the smallies and she did a little bit of mixed. And back then, so this was in country Wales, most people were accepting and were happy to have her in terms of the clients, the farmers. But there still was a little bit of resistance. There were still some farmers who were like, oh, it's the girl vet coming in. Do you find much of that, or are people your clients generally pretty open to having female vets now?
I think generally very open, and some farmers even request that we come out. That I have another small or large animal female colleague as well, and it's great when you hear that. And they ask for you on the phone for advice and everything. But you do get the odd comment, but sometimes it comes from a good place. Sometimes it's oh look, I've got 5 lame cows. I'd rather have one of the guys. Just don't really feel it's a job for Hazell or her Mairead is my female colleague, and that's fine. I don't really mind that because that comes from a good place. But I did have my most recent kind of encounter with maybe sexism. It would be that there was a farmer and he had a call and he asked my manager, oh, what vets are in the area? And the 2 of us happened to be in the area, Mairead and myself. And he said, oh, well, no vets, so. And that really hurt because yeah, like that was a real, tug on the heart, because we work so hard. We went through the same degree. We have a lot of knowledge, and, there's no reason to undermine a female vet like that. And I just think, especially when we've done nothing out of the way as well, like we haven't gone in the farm and done anything, it was just because we were female, which was a little bit of a blow. But for that client now, I will do emergency work, but I won't go out and do typical calls, because if they're not going to respect me, then it's just it's a two-way thing.
It's his last.
It's a two-way thing. Yeah. But that was a very extreme example, but everyone as well. I am like in a long line of female vets that have worked in Cork, so farmers are well used to it now. But I do think sometimes it comes from a good place, that they just feel like, oh, the work is slightly physical, and I don't really want to get them hurt or cause injury, and
I'd rather hit the blokes.
Yeah, exactly. So look, sometimes you're like, okay, that's fine, they could go do it. But generally, we're very accepted, and it's great. It's a real shift, and it's wonderful to see so many female large animal vets succeeding in life and getting on in places. Yeah, so it's good.
Because I haven't done prac work in a long time. But what are the common things you guys see now? Like, what do you guys go out for? Like, so you said the area, is it dairy? Is it?
Yes,
or is
Cork?
Yeah,
Cork would be very, very dairy based. Yes. Now up towards the west of Ireland and the Midlands would be more beef cows, suckler cows. So the ladies working up here and the guys working up there have a lot more C-sections, calvings. It's tough work. Like I would still do a lot of C-sections, but in Ireland, our work is very seasonal. Similar kind of more to the New Zealand type of farming, that, just opposite way around. So our real busy season is from the end of January to kind of May. So that's when we have all our emergency exciting work. So our C-sections, mastitis, pneumonia in calves, scouring calves, you kind of name it, it could show up. And then the summertime then is more appointment work, so scanning, TB testing. Well, TB testing is all year round, but a lot of it is done in the summer as well. And just the general, like the odd sick animal, but it's definitely more routine kind of work at the moment in the summer. And then you get the exciting stuff after Christmas. But scary as well. Springtime can be very scary for a vet. It's a big jump from being kind of a little bit more relaxed in work, and then all of a sudden it's like full on A&E stuff,
So scary in what way?
Scary in a way that you haven't done things in a while, I find. You guys probably do your small animal like spays and castrates every day, and there's never probably a big gap between doing something and then, but like you get so good at doing sections for 5 months, and then you've got a couple of months off, and then you're back into it again, and you're like, oh God, how do I do this? Where do I start? Do I have my surgery kit ready? Do I have my van set up? It's just, and then you're worried because you've had lots of sleep, and all of a sudden now you're not going to have any sleep. And then it's the exhaustion you're worried about, it's the calls, it's the unknown and also the danger side of things, because cattle are very dangerous. So I think there's always an element of trying to keep yourself safe as well. So it's just a combination. And then once you're in it, you kind of get used to it and you just ride through it. It is just that initial starting end of January there that's very scary.
So what would be your day? What would be like an average day around January?
Okay. So say the 25th of January there, you could...
Is that a day that's been scarred in your mind?
Oh, like that last week of January is like, it's such a shock. It's like, oh, okay, I'm back to it. But yeah, like you could get a call at 6 o'clock in the morning, say, hi Hazell, I've got a cow calving. Grant, go out and do it. Could have been a section, so you're probably up to nearly 9 o'clock before you get out there, get everything ready, do the section, finish. Then you ring into the office. The office could say, right, Hazell, maybe just grab a cup of coffee and head to a mastitis cow. Then you could have another calving. Yeah, continues on. You might get lunch, you might not. So you'd have food in the car. Then 6 o'clock comes, you're kind of feeling a bit weary. You might get home and get dinner. And then next thing the phone rings again, something else. Now, usually, so you'd have your weekend, maybe 2 or 3 nights in a row. And then usually you have like 1 or 2 nights in the week then. So you have the next night off, but you don't have the next day off, if you understand me. So you kind of work through. Now, some practices, if you work a weekend, you might have a day off in the week, or if you work a night, you might have the next day, maybe until lunchtime off or something like that. But a lot of the practices in Ireland, you just keep going. And I think that is something that can catch up on vets, is exhaustion. Yeah, so you kind of need to take your nights off and your sleep when you can get it. Yeah, so you could be working a full 24 hours on the road, but it's rare, but it can happen. I've had 2 or 3 all-nighters in my lifetime, so it's
wow.
Yeah.
And the one thing I keep thinking, anybody who hasn't lived there, who hasn't lived in the UK, if you say January 6 o'clock in the afternoon, that's dark and it's freaking cold.
Oh, pitch dark.
If somebody phones you at 6 in the morning for a calving, it's not like
dark.
it's not like an Australian 6 in the morning. It's a whole different ballgame. It's even getting out of a bed is painful at that time of the year. So how do you
January in Australia at 6 o'clock in the morning? It's probably 25 degrees already.
Yeah, exactly. The aircon's on already.
Yeah, guys, just swap it around and maybe lower the temperature by 10, and you'll get there. Yeah.
So how do you sustain that? Because you look like you love it, and I'm looking at your face, and when you talk about it, you seem excited, and you talk about all the exciting fun stuff, and it is fun. And me and Gerardo both, as far as I know, Gerardo, we both had ideas of being the mixed vet and the farm vet and driving around, and it was just too much. I watched it. I did a smidge of Large's work in South Africa, and it just wasn't for me. How do you sustain it? How do you sustain your enthusiasm?
Sometimes I'm definitely not as enthusiastic as this. Like, I do have low days as well. And I have days where I just want to throw it all in and just go and do something else. But I think you go to a case and the farmer is just delighted that you've cured the cow, or you bring new life into the world, you calve a cow, or I don't know, even seeing even if you're up early and if you see a sunrise or something, it's just, you have to take the good with the bad. And I think you can have so many bad days that you just have to really hang on to the good ones. And I think what helps with me as well is the rota. Like, it's a tough enough rota, but in spring, there's 2 of us on all the time.
Okay.
So the work can be shared. So if you are absolutely dangerous to drive, there could be someone else there to help you. Which I'm very lucky, and I know I'm not there's so many practices across the UK and Ireland that don't have that, and I don't know how they cope. And I must say that I am very lucky with my rota, and I do get sleep, but some days you can literally fall in the door. I've crying in springtime is just generally something that happens, and I will put my hand up and say that I do cry with exhaustion, and I cry you just get into bed and the phone rings. That is Like, and
That's killer.
and you might have had just like had a nice hot shower, you just got into bed, and next thing up you get, and the farmer's like, Hazel, this is going to be a section. I'd say I'll get the buckets ready. And I'm like, okay, I'll be there in half an hour. And they're so lovely. They're like, Hazel, I'm so sorry for ringing you at this hour of the night. And I'm like, it's okay. And then you wake up, and it's so funny when you answer the phone. I answer the phone kind of like trying to seem like I've been awake for hours. And I'm like, hi, hello. And it could be 4 a.m. And they're like, oh, Hazel, I'm so sorry I'm like, no, it's fine. And then I get off the phone and I'm like, oh God, who was that rang me? Oh God. Yeah. So it's never happened I've been out to the wrong farmer, but it is a bit like, how did I even answer that phone? I'm not even awake. Yeah, it's a very weird time, springtime.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of, it really is like you're running on adrenaline. And yeah, and you're talking to me now after, in summertime, and I'm quite rested. So, enthusiasm is okay.
It's the benefit of hindsight. Everything looks better in the rearview mirror, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you just accept that it's going to be that way. I've got a couple questions. The first one would be like, so apart from sleep, what else do you try to keep going during that time? Because a lot of people, they go through a busy period, one domino falls over, which is kind of like that, they don't get enough sleep, but then all of a sudden they let that hit the next domino, which is eating properly. Then they let that hit the next domino, which is exercise. Then that hits the next domino, which is spending time with friends or partners and stuff. Like, how do you stop it all going and then life sucks and I hate this?
Like, I think that can happen. Yeah. Like you have explained, you've hit the nail on the head there. That can happen to so many people. And it has happened to me when I was newly graduated as well. And it is, I think as a person, I'm quite a positive person, and I've always been someone that just kept going. And I think you can only keep going to a certain point, and then your body just gives up and you experience burnout. And that's happened to me. But answer your question, how do you stop that happening? It takes time. I think it takes time to learn that, okay, I'm off now on Saturday. Okay, I might just sleep in a little bit now, but I need to go and have my nice coffee, or I need to go and meet my friend. I can't just stay in my room all day and think about all the things that have happened last week. Say a cow died, or, a farmer gave out to me. You just need to leave that behind, and you need to enjoy your free time and, your nights off as well. You do need to, do something nice. You can't just get into bed. And obviously if you're really exhausted, you have to, but I think you just cope with it. I don't know. I think as well, talking to other colleagues and talking to your management and your boss as well, because they're going through spring as well. I'm very lucky to work in a practice that has quite an open door to talk about things, and we've had new grads working with us as well, and I worry about them. They're my main worry because I've been there, and I think, I just think you can't go down that rabbit hole of just exhaustion and not seeing anyone and not eating properly. And getting a good lunch is a really important thing. I know it's such a small thing, but actually getting something to eat in the middle of the day, you might eat again till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So I think it's really important that if you have a half an hour, if it's a sick cow that's been sick for a week, you have half an hour to go and have your lunch. And I think that's something that you have to learn as a large animal vet, kind of triage yourself into your schedule of your day, because if you don't do that and you put every cow ahead of yourself, then you're going to be no good to anyone. So triage your lunch. That's good. I've never really said that, but yeah.
It's a great conversation to have. I remember when we arrived at our practice in Wales, experiencing that, exactly that, because we did on call as well, and like I said, it was largest on call as well. And when you have that run of on call or a busy weekend or something, and then you have that little stint of a couple of days off, I remember asking, there was another vet couple who worked there as well, and they came back from the weekend off, and we were like, what did you get up to this weekend? And they said, well, nothing, we were just so exhausted, we just stayed at home and slept and ate pizza and stuff. And both my wife and I both looked at each other and went, shit, that's horrendous, because that you don't get that recharge that you need. I know it's important to sleep, but it's like they just gave up on
Gave up.
life in
Yeah.
general. It's just work, eat, sleep, and just go through the process. Whereas we would make those weekends count and go for a hike and stay fit and stay mentally healthy. And I see the same with some of them. You mentioned the new grads. I think it does take a while I think you need to learn the importance of it. I've had mentees where I ask them, "Are you exercising?" "No, there's no time to exercise." I go, that's bad. You should make time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you definitely need to. And I think, going to the gym, even after work, if you're tired, just do something small or go for a nice walk. Yeah, I definitely think you should take your free time and do something. I see a lot of people though on Instagram now, a lot of large animal vets, and it's great to see that they're, at the weekends, they're doing some lovely things and going up mountains and like they're posting about it and showing. I think also one thing is when you're on call, some people, I've talked to people that they're like afraid to nearly go outside the door, but look, you can go for a little walk, you can go, you can meet your friend for a coffee, just have the phone with you. I think we need to make good choices about our time. And look, I'm on call a lot and I go and still live my life when I'm on call. I don't sit waiting for calls to come, because that's not a good routine to get into. So
I was about to say, how do you not look at the phone and hate the phone? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or look at the phone and be anxious about the phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the phone is a love-hate thing, isn't it? It allows you to communicate with the world, but then it also gets you out of bed at 4 a.m. when you don't want to. But it's just one of those things that it can't control your life. And I actually got Apple Watch, so if I'm out for coffee, my phone isn't on the table. So if it does ring, I can be like, "Oh, Farmer Black is ringing me and I need to take it," or if it's someone else that I don't need to answer it, then I can just leave it. So some little things like that can really help, because if you're stressed about missing a phone call as well, you can always ring someone back. It's not the end of the world. And a lot of people leave messages, or I just think it's a mindset that you need to get into, that you'll get to them and you'll get there.
That technology definitely helps. Well, it helps, and it's also a curse, because when we used to do on call, it was still a pager. It's just a ridiculously pre-mobile age almost.
Oh wow!
And I specifically remember people had mobile phones, but it wasn't the standard for the vet practice to have a mobile phone.
I know.
You get the pager. And I remember once on a weekend being on call, the surf was really good. I lived in Wales, and I made a plan with the pager. I put the pager in 2 little Ziploc bags, plastic bags, and shoved it in the back of my wetsuit and went for a surf with the pager in there. Except it didn't work because I didn't hear it. It did go off when I had a great surf, and I got out. I was like, "Oh shit! There's like 7 pages." I was in a bit of trouble.
Oh god! Yeah. Well, I give my phone to people sometimes. Like if I'm at the gym or something, and I might give my phone to like the gym instructor and say, if that rings, and if it says if it says mom or home, don't bother. But if it says any other number, maybe answer it.
She's working out at the moment. She'll be another 10
she's
minutes.
just here. Yeah, no, I don't. It's just if especially in springtime, you just need to have it near you, but it doesn't control you, and you can still go for a little walk. It's not the end of the world.
How do you then tackle coming into that season? In Australia, it's seasonal as well, and we used to have nasty tick seasons in the eastern coast of Australia, and you would just get tick after tick after tick. We used to have staff members who dreaded coming into tick season, so then they would leave before tick season. Okay, look, I can't do that anymore. I'm going to go back and find a job in general practice, and because tick season was horrific last year, and I don't want to do that. And how do you tackle coming in that and knowing that's what it's about to happen?
I think this year was one of the worst years actually for me, and it was 7 years in, and I think it's because I just built it up in my head so much, and I'm not an anxious person, but I was very, very anxious at the start of January. And my colleagues, I was out TB testing with my vet nurse, and she was like, "Hazel, are you okay?" And I was like, "My heart is it's just pounding and I can't stop it." And she was like, "Okay." And I was like, "I'm really worried about spring." And then once I started, it was fine. But how I kind of I suppose I tell my friends that it's coming up, so they know it's coming up, and they're aware of not maybe making too many plans around it and maybe feeling like I'm going to miss out on too many things. I enjoy Christmas. I think, oh look, I'm going to enjoy today because in a couple of weeks I won't have that much free time. I go to the gym and try to get strong from maybe October onwards and start doing weights and things just for the sections, just to make sure that I'm as physically well as I can be. And I think, just doing things for me a little bit more, maybe going, like this year I went skiing in January, which is lovely break, but I think it was a little bit nerve-wracking because you are going into a busy season and then you're like, oh God, am I going to get injured? But I really did enjoy it, and I didn't do anything crazy. I kept nice and calm. But I know a lot of vets in Ireland would maybe take a little holiday in January, early January, to prepare themselves going forward. I always book maybe a long weekend, maybe around March. I'll book a Monday off and just have something to look forward to is quite nice. Because if you just see the end of it being in May, it's a long road. So it's nice to have maybe a nice hotel booked or something. Now this year with COVID didn't work out too well, but sure, look. I just think little things like that, and just having a few plans, not every weekend, but just something nice to look forward to. Maybe go see your friends up the country or stay somewhere, because I think it's a long slog if you're trying to look at May being the end. And then the first week of June, I have always a holiday booked. So it comes to the 1st of June, I'm like, right, see you later, guys, I'm off. And I think that definitely helps, because one year I didn't take a holiday until July and I was cranky.
I love what you're saying there about having some things to look forward to, a book in advance. And it's one of the like a real powerful tool for bringing joy in your life is to actually have joy in the future, because we often think about, okay, I'm doing joyful things today. What am I going to do today that's joyful? But having something in the future that's really looking forward to, it's such a powerful sense, or can bring on powerful senses of happiness, and just feeling like as if you're balanced and your work-life balance, whatever it means for you, is sorted and you've taken care of yourself. I reckon we always try to have something planned before, we've already done the last thing. So like, we've always got a plan in place coming up, and at least about every 2-3 months, we do something small or something big or whatever. But it's been like real powerful for me knowing that I have something to look forward to and I can push through hard times. Yeah.
And I think COVID was a struggle because nobody had anything to look forward to, because everything was locked down, and I found that people were just very down and there was nothing. And I definitely agree that joy is in the future as well.
It's a very good point. I'm feeling that we generally go away a lot, but with a few things happening plus then COVID, we actually don't have any immediate trips planned, and I can feel it mentally. It keeps you excited about life, is to have that trip to look forward to. Hazell, you said you're studying at the moment, is that right?
Yeah, so I start back. I'm just on a break for summer, but we'll start back in September again. So I just started a advanced practitioner certificate in Edinburgh University. So I'm doing food animal production side of that. A lot of my friends have completed them already. I'm a little bit maybe late to the party, but I don't think, look, learning is whenever it suits you. And this year it just suited me to do it, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm very excited to get back into it. It was a little bit odd getting back into it because obviously I haven't really done anything in stone since uni, so it was interesting trying to fit it all in around work and everything, but it's exciting. But that whole work-life study balance was difficult to adjust to, because I was so used to having my free time, and then all of a sudden I had to sit down for a few hours. And but no, it's good.
What was the motivator to do it? What pushed you to decide now I need to study a bit more?
Yeah, I just feel like I'm 7 years out now, and I feel my knowledge is good, but I definitely feel there's a few gaps, and I just feel like I there was space in my life for the study, so I decided that it would be a good time to do it. And I've talked to my friends, and they're all very happy they did it. No one ever said, "Oh, I wouldn't bother." Everyone is always delighted they did something like that. I run a social media and a podcast called Vet Space, and at the moment we're doing a series on certificates and further study that vets in the UK and Ireland can do. And we just did our first one last week and was on small animal certificate in Dublin, and we got great interaction from it. And it was lovely to just talk to a vet about their experiences with it, talking about what was good, what was bad, how did they fit it into their life. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and it's good. Mightn't get me anywhere, my career mightn't change, but I think if I can be a better vet to my farmers and feel like I know more, then that's what it's all about to me, really.
So you've been a vet for 7 years now, and you're saying that the vast majority of the cases you see are, cattle, or not cattle, but dairy cattle and so forth. But you said you see occasional sheep or other animals. How do you tackle the case that stumps you? There's still going to be things or a species of animal that, an alpaca or something. I don't know if you treat alpacas or if you have alpacas there, but how do you tackle those things? The uncommon things that you see very uncommonly.
Well, I think having friends that work with these animals like alpacas and sheep are always good to have, and always good to have the end of the phone. My friends are brilliant. I had an alpaca the other day that I had to see, and I had to ring my friend who is a expert in them in the UK, and she was brilliant. So I think a network of friends. I think just treating every case as, doing your clinical exam, working it up, having resources, your internet and things like that, just to replenish any information that you might have. It's in there, but it just might need to be rejigged a little bit. I never really get too concerned about things that mightn't be my typical case. I just try to treat it all like have a plan, and then if I need help, I'll go and research it, or I'll ring a friend who would know more. I don't think anyone should ever get too stressed about maybe something that's like out of the ordinary, because there's a big world of information out there, and you have your veterinary brain and your clinical skills, so you should never worry too much.
One of the things that we teach our interns or vets who new grads that come and join our practice is give them some kind of methods for escape. They're in the consult room and they're like, no idea what this is. I've never seen this before, right? We teach them things like, oh, look, just going to go and grab my stethoscope, or all this my pen isn't working or something like that. There's some kind of out, like my thermometer ran out of battery. I'll be 2 seconds, just got to find another one. And so there's always an out, but I always feel like as if, you're in a large animal call, you're out their house. You can't even just take the dog out the back. Oh, I'm just going to take him out the back because you need to weigh him. So what do you do then? You have no idea. It's like, I need to go read a textbook and search on the internet on coughing alpaca, what's common in coughing alpacas. But then, so what do you do? I just got to grab something in the car? Is it like?
Yeah, I have done that in the past. I'm like, I just need to go to the van for a second, and I'd be on the phone in the van going, and like ringing my boss, being like, I'm just here, what do you think? And there's no problem with that, or else there's no problem just being a little bit honest sometimes, because farmers don't like when you try to be too cocky and try to pretend, so sometimes it's better to be like, just going to ring blah de blah, and I think they've seen this before, I'm just going to see what they think. And if you word it right, farmers are like, she took the initiative to ask for help. And I think that's a big step in a vet's life, is to actually admit that, okay, look, I don't really know what's going on here and I need to go get help. I need to ask. And I think if you word it right, then a lot of farmers are okay with it. My boss gets cases, and he's qualified a long time, and he gets stumped and he might ask for help. And we have a WhatsApp group in work just for the vets, and you'll get little pop-up pictures of random things. It's within a couple of seconds, we're like, no idea, what about this, do you try this? And I think having something maybe in place like that in a practice is very good. And with technology like that, you can, even on Instagram, we have a little vet Instagram of cow vets, and we do the same. We put up maybe an unusual case, and people message back nearly straight away. And I just think that there's always ways around not knowing what exactly is going on. And as long as you don't cause harm, and as long as you maybe take a step back and think, okay, who might know this, or where can I get this information then?
I totally agree with you. I think it gets easier the more experience you get, ironically. You think that when you're new, you're going to ask a lot of questions and admit to not knowing. I think maybe when you're fresh out, you feel that pressure to prove yourself to the client and to your colleagues. But I have never had a client, and so it's not just farmers who like this. I've never had a client have an issue if I said, that's strange. Not actually quite sure. As long as you've got a solution and a plan. Because then if I go, yeah, that's odd, I'm not 100% sure, or I've never seen that before, or that's unusual, I am going to go and I've got a textbook on this or an article or I've got a friend who's really good at these. Let me go and do that. But I think you can do it as a young vet when people don't expect to. Do they expect you to know anything? People appreciate honesty, and they also can smell bullshit from a mile away.
Yeah.
So that little bit of, I think there's a fire out the back, I need to go. and then you're away for half an hour and you come back and suddenly you know everything about guinea pigs. They don't buy that.
No. And I think if you say to someone you're going to look something up, do it, because they'll remember if you don't. That's a big thing for me as well in practice, and just putting the time away to do it. And I think sometimes farmers ring you up and they're like, Hazell, I really don't think you're going to be able to do anything with this cow, but come and have a look at it. And it's kind of like, okay, sure, we'll see. Or you could try maybe do a surgery or something that is life-saving, but it's very slim chance of working or something. And then it works and it's like, oh, brilliant. Yeah, I love what I do. But I definitely have bad days as well, as I was saying. But it's,
Is that what drew you to being a largest vet? Is it that? Well, let me rephrase that. What drew you to being a largest vet versus going the smallies route?
Yeah, in vet school, I was very much that mixed vet student. I loved horses, I loved cows, and I started off really loving small animals, and then as the course progressed, I think my interest just lay more with the horses and the cows. But I think I was born on a dairy farm. My dad's a dairy farmer. I was always around cows. And I think vet school just enhanced that love of cows. I always liked them, but I was one of these kind of pony club girls as well. And I loved my horses. And I was very torn between an equine vet and being a cow vet. And I think when I started doing placement, then I just fell in love with the lifestyle and the whole farming world and the herd health and how you approach. It's not just always your sick cow, it's a sick herd. You treat it as a herd management, and I love that kind of thing. And we did a module in uni as well, like called herd health, and it was really fascinating and lots of stats and graphs and things like that. But when you went out to the farmer and actually solved maybe a mastitis problem that he was having, it was just such a good feeling. And to say, okay, well, you need to do this in the parlour or that in the parlour. And I think the world of large animal veterinary is definitely changing. It's not your emergency work. Like springtime, there's always going to be that, but it's definitely moving away from that. And also with the antibiotics and reducing their usage, we're under a lot of pressure as vets to more implement herd health plans, vaccinations, good hygiene, looking at your data, looking at your stats and trying to figure out where farmers can improve. So that's a big shift that's happening. So that's very exciting as well. Yeah.
Sounds a heck of a lot more exciting or more interesting than the little taste of larges that I had at the start of my career. I found it very frustrating. I think that's why I didn't last very long. It was very much one animal that had a very finite economic value. So you get there, you'd say, yeah, let's give it some tetracyclines. No, farmers already done that. You go, oh, okay, well, then we've got let's do some bloods, and then there's always like, nah, it's not worth it, just kill it. So it was very non-satisfying at the time. But it sounds like it's changed. It sounds very appealing the way you talk about it.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the animals I deal with as well are quite high value Holstein Frisian cows here in Cork. There's crossbreds as well, but in my area we still have a lot of pedigree herds. So I'm very lucky I work with farmers that are very obliging and open to trying to fix problems and wanting to get to the bottom of herd level problems. Instead of sometimes you just get farmers that are just happy to have one or two losses maybe, and then you have other farmers that's absolutely unacceptable and they want to do everything in their power to stop it happening in the future, which is brilliant. And I'm very lucky that majority of my farmers are like that. So it's very much locality as well.
So when you were explaining before about where the practice is, my understanding in Australia that the dairy industry has been bought up by, well, these dairy farms have been bought up by larger companies, and they're amalgamating these farms together, and you get these mega dairies and so forth with, I don't know, thousand head of cows. Is that the same still where you are, or is it kind of still kind of family-owned operations? It sounds like they still have the connection with the animal. They understand economics, but also they still maybe a bit more connected with, you know, the welfare of the animals, as opposed to just leaders and numbers and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think definitely we're not gone down the route of the super dairies yet. We're mostly family-owned farms still, but because quotas were abolished in 2013, the farms have actually increased in size in Ireland. So the average,
Sorry, what were the quotas? Sorry to interrupt you.
The quota was basically you could only produce a certain literage of milk on your farm, or otherwise you'd get penalised, or you'd have to throw away that milk. So it was to stop overproduction, which sounds a little mad now, but it was in place, and then it was abolished in 2013, and then farmers had the ability to expand. A lot of farmers have gained maybe 50 cows on average. Some people expanded a lot more than others, but yeah, still very family farms. The younger farmers coming up are more aware of economics and more aware of profit and loss. But welfare is definitely still a very high priority in Irish farms, and it's a wonderful place to work because we're valued as a profession. Yeah. So yeah, farms, I'd say average farm size would be about 200, 250 cows here in Cork. Yesterday I TB tested about 1,400 on one farm. So that would be that would be kind of an outlay farm, that wouldn't be the norm. Yeah, generally in around the 200 mark would be kind of the normal. Still family farms, still generations of different age groups of farmers on the farms, but different opportunities arising now with share milkers and people going into maybe joint partnerships and making their farms limited companies. And yeah, so we're going with the times, but we're keeping our traditions and keeping our welfare standards very high, which is great.
That sounds lovely. It's a great profession when it's good, isn't it? It's a good job. Lots of characters, lots of stories, lots of adventures and things. Do you get lots of? Well, you must have heaps of stories from your young days from things going wrong.
I have a lot of stories from my time working in County Kerry in the west of Ireland and southwest of Ireland.
So when was that? When was that in your career? Was that early on? So
that was my first 18 months as a vet. I don't think there was a female vet down there for, I think, maybe 15 years or something. So it was a funny experience. I was mistaken for a tourist a couple of times arriving into the farm. I went to a farm and there was two bachelor farmers, and they had a cow with a prolapse, and it was the kind of middle of the night, and I came out and I got they looked at me like I had about 4 heads, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Hazell." And I said, get the cow with the rope, and everything was in this kind of really old fashioned barn, and we got the prolapse in and everything, and they were still looking at me like I had 4 heads.
So how old are these farmers? If you say bachelor?
Oh, they'd be in their, I'd say, late 70s.
Oh, so they're not bachelors, as in looking at you going, "Ooh, like start fighting about who's going to ask you on a date."
No. They were. There's kind of a saying in Ireland, like a bachelor farmer. So they'd be elderly farmers. They didn't have a phone. They lived in the middle of nowhere. They had to drive to the practice to put in the call, and it was just. So anyway, I went out and next thing, so I said goodbye and everything. They're still looking at me like I was just a weirdo. And the next day then, my boss went out to recheck the cow or something, and they said to him, "Oh, who was that girl last night?" And my boss was like, "Oh, that's Hazell, our new vet." And he said, "Oh, God, we didn't know who she was. But by the end of it, we were thinking, maybe she's the vet." And they honestly just thought I was some random person, rocked up on the farm and just replaced a prolapse. And they just couldn't fathom how this young girl was a vet.
The guardian angel of cows who ascended out of heaven, Saint Hazell.
Oh, it was just so funny. And then I went out maybe 2 weeks later to do something else, and they apologized to me. It was so nice. Please. They were like, "I'm so sorry, we had no idea who you were."
Did Did you introduce yourself and they just missed it, or?
I just said I was Hazel, and I just assumed they thought.
See, now
I was vet.
there's something, I forget who said this, but if I've spoken to a few female vets who that's happened to, whether it's gown vet or regular vet, or and I've seen it with colleagues where people go the next day. Well, we came in, but we didn't even see a vet. We just had the nurse check our animal.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, you saw Dr. whoever. And it's an important lesson is that when you're young, and whether it's male or female, to go, hi, well, that's why you guys are. It's good to be Dr. somebody, so that you can say, I'm Dr. Hazel. I'm going to be the vet who's going to sort your cow out tonight.
Yeah, and like on the phone, I would always ring someone and say, hi, it's Hazel here, the vet. But I think I just assumed that when they called the vet and this person arrived on the farm, that they thought that I would be the vet. But
yeah, I suppose it's a little bit like calling for a pizza, and then somebody arrives at the door with the pizza, and you go, who the hell is this guy with the pizza?
No, look, that was one of my funny moments. I should have taken a diary with me and written down all the funny things that happened, because they just go out of your head, don't they? Like things happen and
some of them never leave your head.
Yeah.
I've got stories that I'll never ever forget.
I know. No, it's funny. Yeah, it was good times down in Kerry, and I think every day, like you something funny happens and along the way, and you just have to enjoy it.
So if we've got young listeners, let's say we've got students or recent grads who want to go there or think they want to do the cow route, are there things that you have to do to get yourself ready for it? Are there certain courses, or did you just qualify and applied for a cow job and got it? And even if that was your route, in retrospect, is there something you would have done differently to get you more ready for a career in largies and farm animals?
Yeah, like I think it is as easy as qualifying and going down that route, but I think maybe doing something like picking your elective. So a lot of, I don't know how it is in Australia, but in the UK there's electives, so you pick a certain route of placement that you want to focus mainly on in veterinary in your final year, and then you go to really good quality large animal practices within the UK and Ireland, and you do your elective there. So I think having a large animal elective on your CV is always very good. Having as much placement as you can really in large animal is always a plus. Doing well maybe in your large animal exam would be a plus. But look, once you have enthusiasm, you like what you do, and you're willing to learn, then I'd say, and you have a little bit of experience with large animal, even if you went into, a lot of people go into a mixed job. Like, I don't know, there's in Ireland now, nearly all large animal jobs are mixed jobs to begin with. So it's not like you're tying yourself down to, okay, I'm definitely going to be a large animal vet. There's options there. So you still get your small animal skills. And then if things don't work out, or if you feel it's not for you, then you can go back and go back to small or go on to something else. So it's, just pick your placements well, and just be open to hard work for the first couple of years anyway, definitely. And maybe a few late nights as well.
Righty, let's get out of the overalls, the coveralls. What do you call them in the UK? I forget.
Overalls, yeah.
Overalls, yeah. And out of the cow poo, and talk about the glamour side of Hazell Mullins. I see on your socials. The first thing I've got to ask, I saw a post somewhere that mentioned something about Strictly Come Dancing. Did you do Strictly Come Dancing? I did. When I was...
Actually, I kind of won it, Hubert. So,
For real?
Yeah, we won it. Yeah, we won. It was just for charity, and it was down in Bandon in County Cork, and it was Strictly Come Dancing Bandon, and it was a lot of work. We trained like twice a week for 14 weeks. I had a wonderful dance partner, Mikey, and he happened to be a gym owner, and he was very strong, and he was able to twirl me up in the air, and we did like amazing lifts and stuff. So it was great, and it was such a wonderful thing to do, to get part of the community, because I'm not from there, but it was just, I feel like I'm from there. Do you know, I feel like my heart is still there, because I became like, I did that, and I was in another farming kind of club, Machra na Firma, for young people, and just had so many friends. And I think that's a good thing for new grads as well. if you are, because you usually move to an area that you're not local to start work, and just embrace yourself and throw yourself into anything that's going on in the local area, because the more friends you have, the more people you know, it just makes life so much easier. But yeah, I didn't know I could dance, and I still don't think I can, but when you practice the same dance for 14 weeks over and over, you kind of get good at it. And we won. So it was a great night.
Have you got video of the winning?
Oh, I do.
dance?
I do. Yeah.
You're gonna have to send it. You're gonna have to send it to me, and we'll put it on the.
I will.
We'll put it on the website for anybody who wants to watch.
Oh God, we danced to the Blues Brothers, "Shake Your Tail Feather." So it was kind of jazzy, and it was great. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Oh, that's so much fun. So do you still dance at all now?
I did a couple of dance lessons, and I would have loved. I was actually signed up for another one, but COVID stopped that. So I definitely think I love dancing, and it just brings me so much joy. I'm not very good. I really am not very good at it, but I try.
You could have been too rubbish if you won, unless everybody else in town was absolutely horrendous.
I wouldn't be a natural dancer now, but I think my mum sent me to Irish dancing lessons when I was maybe 6, and I didn't know my left from my right, and it's all about hop 2 3 right left right hop 1, and I struggled, and then I quit, and then I never went back. And then I think in my 20s I started jiving, which is kind of like a country and west kind of country jiving, and I love that. I think doing something completely different outside veterinary is always a good thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You do need, so the place where you mostly display the things that you do on, you've got a big following on Instagram, and you're quite active on Instagram. It's an interesting phenomenon to me, is the Instagram vet. Like, it's a whole subculture, and it's really popular, and there's some awesome stuff on there, and your stuff's really awesome and really inspiring. But it must take a bit of time. Why do you do it? What's the motivation for it?
The motivation, I basically, a couple of years ago, I went through a kind of a bad patch, and I was very down, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do something. And I saw that there was this Instagram thing blowing up in the vet world, and I said, God, and my friends always were so interested in my stories, and they want, I used to send them pictures, and they're like, oh, Hazell, that's disgusting, but very cool. So I kind of said, right, there's probably an outlet for this. And so I just decided, right, we're going to do it. And I was over on a beach in Croatia with my friend, and she was like trying to think of a name for it. She was like, you needed like a pun. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then she's like, what about Vet on the Move with 2 O's? And I was like, grand, we'll do it. And then, so it just kind of took off. And then I was very lucky. I was always involved in talking at vet events and things like that, and kind of clinical clubs. So I just got really good opportunities to talk in front of other vets. And the paper then, one of the big local Irish papers, put me on their stories for a day, and they followed me around for the day. And that was great. I got a couple of thousand followers from that. And then, the way it goes, people start tagging you, and you just meet amazing people. And I've got vet friends and farmer friends from all over the world now on Instagram. So I'd never expected it to really take off the way it did, but I was just very lucky with the breaks that I got, and the things that I was tagged in, and things I was asked to do. So I'm absolutely, I do love it, but I do agree with you. It's a lot of work. And some days you're like, oh, I'm just so tired. And you could have a load of like messages from people and things. And you just, you don't want to be rude and not reply. But sometimes it's difficult. So it might take me a couple of days to reply to people, but I generally try. But it's a good way of showing what I do every day as well. And as a large animal vet, a female large animal vet, and, also I like to inspire other large animal vets to maybe start enjoying the little things and the good parts of our job, instead of just focusing on the negative. That's the main thing.
So, and I don't mean this in what you get out of it, but what does it contribute to your life to do it? Is it just a fun thing? Is it just a creative outlet, or what's the?
Yeah, I think it is a creative outlet, but it's also a way of promoting the industry, and I actually really like media and doing things like that. So hopefully someday I'd love maybe to do more media stuff, maybe on radio or TV or something like that. And I think that's maybe where I want to go. But yeah, I just enjoy all the little opportunities I get to take over accounts or do a little, I don't know, an article on this or an article on that. And yeah, I just like the interaction. I'm a very people's person. I'm an extrovert, so I love people.
Okay,
yeah,
cool. So, which brings us to the other thing that you're involved in, and as soon as you said I've got a podcast, of course my ears go up, because this is I get excited about this. So you're involved in something called Vet Space Ireland, which has a podcast.
Vet Space Ireland, yeah.
But tell me more.
I was approached by a lovely vet nurse and industry worker, Michelle Maguire, and she came to me and said, Hazel, what do you think about doing a podcast, just talking to Irish vets, promoting Irish veterinary, the wellness within Irish veterinary, and just promoting things that are happening, kind of a place where if you wanted to know something you could go to. And I was like, oh, okay. Kind of busy at the moment. It was just coming into spring, and I was like, okay. So she went off and she got all the mics and the gear, and we started promoting it and started launching it, and it's got an amazing reaction within Ireland, and we're just delighted. We've basically had a big plan for the podcast, and then COVID hit and we kind of just got a little bit sidetracked, and we started doing Instagram lives instead. And we started getting vets on and doing lives and saving them about, firstly we discussed how vets are coping with COVID, then we discussed vets and any tips for new grads, and now we're discussing vets and further education. And we have done kind of 2 intro podcasts, and Michelle just started a new job, so she's just getting to grips with that. And then soon we will have, like yourselves, kind of conversation with different people within the industry doing different things. Yeah. And it's just promoting, like within Ireland, really just promoting the veterinary voice within Ireland. And it's good. We've got hats and everything. We're delighted.
We don't have hats. Do we need hats?
You should get hats. People love hats. And little body warmers and things. Yeah, it's great. And we're all into our merch, you know.
You've got a nice website. What's the website again?
vetspaceIreland.ie.
.ie. Oh, that's Ireland, the Ireland code. Yeah, because it's more than just the podcast. You've got other resources on there and stuff.
Yeah, there's a journal where people write journal entries and about maybe tips for new grads or anything that they're up to, and anyone can write those and send them in to us. And we've got like a notice board as well, and we have our little shop for our hats, and we have there's loads of stuff on. Yeah, like a live kind of feed, and then we've advertising. I think we're going to be going down maybe like advertising recruitment possibilities as well. One of my best friends, Emily, actually designed the website, so it's like a little family, and we're very proud of ourselves. And we just didn't think that it would take off the way it has, and now we just need to get going on the podcast like yourselves and just bite the bullet and do it, because I think we're probably overthinking it a little bit at the moment and just getting ourselves a little bit hyped up over it. But I think once you start anything, and the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now let's wrap it up. So podcasts, you do a podcast. Do you listen to podcasts? Are you a podcast fan?
Yeah, I do. I go in and out of them, I think, a little bit. Sometimes I'm really I'm in my van and I don't want to listen to music. I want to listen to conversation. And then sometimes I'm just like, oh no, I just need to just listen to music and not have any thoughts. But I'm very much a wellness kind of podcast person. I don't listen to sometimes sometimes I do listen to lectures and things like that, and webinars, like if I'm in the mood for learning. But sometimes I just need a little bit of escapism, and I listen to a lot of wellness podcasts. Yeah, that's kind of my thing.
So have you got any favorites?
A lot of them are Irish. I listen to 1 or 2 UK ones as well. A Happy Place by Fern Cotton's very good, and The Good Glow by Georgie Crawford in Ireland is good, and Mastering My Wellness is another. Jeanne Walsh is another Irish lady who does a wonderful podcast. All very much wellness and feeling good and promoting just positivity.
Alrighty, and let's wrap it up with our last question. it's easy to pose this to you because you've got a podcast. So you're on the podcast, and all the new grad vets of the world are tuning in to listen. And you've got a couple of minutes to give them one little bit of advice. What is Hazell Mullins' advice for the new grad vets of the world?
Okay, here we go. You will never have as much knowledge as you have now in your heads. Your practical experience will come with time. You can't know everything and be able to do everything right now, but it'll come in time. And just be kind to yourselves. Don't be hard on yourselves. Move on from your mistakes, learn from them, and treat yourself to something nice every day. And, you know, have a nice coffee, have a nice lunch, and talk to your friends, and just mind yourself. That's my main thing.
Perfect. I really like that. The coffee is the essential bit in there.
Love my coffee, yes.
Hazell, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
You've made the life of a farm vet seem a hell of a lot more appealing than I remember it. If I had to have my time over again, it could actually be something I could consider. Although you said earlier that it seems to be that it's the female vets who like it, and then the guys go to smallies. Maybe it's just too much hard work for most men.
No comment.
We're just too soft for it. Right.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode on The Vet Vault. Make sure you go to thevetvault.com and click and subscribe to our mailing list so you get the show notes, and also you find out first when our clinical podcasts become available.